So good afternoon and welcome to the lecture 11. The today's topic for discussion is marketing research. You might have heard the term or the process of marketing research, and you might have heard that there are companies, almost every company, whenever they 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 think about introducing suppose some new product, or they are suppose facing some sort of difficulties, they are trying to get insights from the market. So maybe you could have been more familiar with this term marketing research. So the idea is like to understand the concept of marketing research as a process in detail, in depth, through the various aspects we will see, and there are different steps which are involved in this process. So we'll try to unpack, we will try to understand all those stuffs in today's session. Even in a mind, keep in mind, it's market, the concept of marketing research. If you are in operating in the domestic market, still it is useful, it's important, has an importance. But especially when if you're moving to the international market, in terms of having an expense and strategy, or if you're moving to the particular regional areas for your with your product and services, in all the cases, I mean to say like that the concept of marketing research is like valid, and it's very, very important. So okay. Over here is a small recap of what we have learned in the week 10. If you could remember, the week 10 was all about value proposition. I mean to say that there were three different concepts we have learned in detail. We started with the positioning, and then we moved to the differentiation, and finally we have seen the concept of value proposition in depth. And with that one, we concluded with the different term, that is UVP, unique value proposition. So I'm sure you are able to memorize. I mean, you are able to have a kind of understanding so that you can apply in the real world scenario. So those concepts are very, very important in terms of marketing. Moving ahead, so today's discussion, we have four broad objectives, starting with the first objective of today's session is explaining the importance of information in gaining the customer insight about the marketplace and customers. So we will start with understanding the importance of marketing information. And you could have heard the term MIS, which in general stands for Management Information System. But over here in this session, we'll talk about MIS, which also stands for Marketing Information System. So the importance of starting with the importance of information system, we will move to the next stage, second objective, that is defining the market information system and discusses its part. So we'll see a kind of MIS as a system, marketing information system, as a kind of set of processes and people together. And there are three different main steps which are involved. So we'll unpack the concept of MIS, marketing information system. And with that, we will move to the stage objective number third, that is outlining the steps which are involved in the marketing research process. As I said, I started today's session by saying that marketing research is a process, and we have a certain stages which need to be followed. I mean to say, like identifying the objective of your research, followed by what sort of information or data you are required, and finally making a report of those. So there are certain stages or steps are involved in the marketing research process. So on average, every firm they are supposed to follow those necessary steps which are involved in the marketing research process. And finally, if you have conducted the marketing research, you have some findings. What is very important then for a manager, marketing manager or executive, it's important to analyze, make it, you have the findings, but how to have a kind of application of those findings. I mean to say, how that is going to give you kind of competitive edge in terms of improving the decision making. So are you able to make a profound decision based on those marketing information? So that is the analyzing and the using of marketing information. Keeping in mind all these four broad objectives of today's session. So we'll start by starting with the understanding marketing information. So the next slide, it talks about the marketing information and customer insights. Although it's like two different construct, you can see two different concepts, but try to understand both separately, and then later on try to have a kind of synergy, try to see the link between these two, marketing information and why we are talking about the customer insights. So what do you think? What is marketing information? Is it information which is widely available across in the market, or about the marketplace, or about the customer or prospect, or is a target effective customer? So what is the marketing information? So the marketing information from a wide range of sources needs to effectively manage to gain customer insight. We know that we are now living in the age of information technology, artificial intelligence, lots of analytics we are talking about. So in this age of era of intelligence, or era of information, uh, it's very, it means, I mean to say, if you are a marketing executive or the official marketing manager, think about the kind of information you have. I mean, a wide range of resources gives you ample kind of profound knowledge of like lots of data you have on the marketplace, on the customers and the targets. So everything you have, but what is important here? How to get the insights, how to have a kind of meaningful message or meaningful things starts from those information. That's why marketing information is the like wide source of you have the data uh, access from the wide range of resources, wide range of sources, whereas the customer insights is like getting the meaningful data from those information. So that talks about more the customer insights. So as a company, as a firm, what is important? To having a kind of good customer insights, that is important. So the customer insights comprise the real value of the marketing information. They are phrase understanding of customers and the marketplace derived from the market information system or the database that become the basis for creating value and the relationship. So with this introductory note, so let's dig a little bit more about the marketing information. So what it says that to create the value for customer and to build a meaningful relationship with the customer, marketers must first gain the fresh, deep insight into what customer needs and wants. I mean to say all this, like the customer needs, wants, the market demands, and all the information, relevant information, all together will be a kind of part of marketing information. So, as I said, MIS. So the idea is the company must design effective marketing information system, MIS, sorry, that gives manager the right information in the right form and at the right time. So MIS, what is the like what should be the objective of any MIS, marketing information system? The objective must be it gives manager or the decision makers the right information in the right form and at the right time. So marketers do need more information, but they need better information. I mean to say, like, because of the age of technology and all, you have already like ample sources of information, wide range of resources or sources which gives you the information. So more and more information you have, but what the marketers nowadays need, the better information, and they need the market, and they need it because to make the better decision. And can you put your mic off? Okay. Nowadays we are also talking about the big data. I'm sure like you might have heard or come across this term, the big data. It's a huge and complex data sets generated by the today's sophisticated information generation, collection, storage, and analysis technology. I mean to say the big data, you just like there are like big data on the, suppose the customer who visit the airport, in certain economy, or maybe in some other places like at the retail. So big data is a collection of huge amount of data, and it's available across the industry nowadays. So if you wanted to have analysis of on particular industry, you can have a kind of publicly available big data. So huge amount of data, but what is important, you must have some sort of like analysis tools to dig out what is important, what important patterns is there in which is important for as a marketer. So there are huge opportunities and challenges. The company that use the big data can gain rich timely customer insights. So yes, the big data is like gives you a kind of consistent pattern which is occurring again and again. I mean to say that if the customer is facing some sort of challenges, they keep on reporting that one. So using all together, if you get that theme, gives an indication that you must work on that one. So it gives a kind of direction. The analysis from the big data gives you the kind of direction in which you should go ahead. So marketing analytics involve tools and techniques used in the marketing sound in order to make the sound decision making. I have a small 2 minutes videos which says that using big data to help retailers improve their business. So let's see that what they are talking about in terms of the big data. Where is that? Using big data.
For retailers, data is both their biggest asset and biggest challenge. It's the key to understanding and engaging their consumers. It lets them efficiently and effectively plan their product assortment mix at the hyper-local level. At the store level, data is at the core of effective store optimization. And when it comes to supply chain management, data means visibility, flexibility at a global level. Retailers competing on low margins have known for decades that data is a powerful tool, and big data takes it and supercharges it for the modern multi-channel retail environment. Retailers who embrace big data throughout their organization can unlock hidden value in many other functions as well. For instance, risk management presents a huge opportunity for retailers to use their existing data to improve the bottom line. What can big data tell us about customers? Today's consumers know more about you than ever before, and you know more about them. Without the insights that big data analytics provide, you risk missing opportunities to engage them with the kinds of products and offers they're searching for, or maybe didn't even know they wanted. Big data lets retailers target consumers with personalized suggestions, upsell and cross-sell based on prior behavior and predictive models. This can include acquisition pattern analysis, collaborative filtering based on associations between products, customer-specific scorecards, real-time store sales modeling, and can even determine optimal pricing for individual consumers. That ability to predict what consumers will purchase and for how much is incredibly useful. Reliable software solutions for the retail industry give companies the ability to compare a customer's history to others like them, so they can make more accurate predictions and suggestions. What does all this mean for retailers in the real world? For retailers, big data means intelligently measuring, monitoring, and modeling their business in real time. This creates the ability to act on what shoppers are telling them, efficiently improving customer acquisition and conversion for lower costs and increased revenue. In addition to what data tells retailers about customers, a real-time insights into the entire business creates flexibility during periods of supply volatility or market uncertainty. This makes retail supply chains more efficient and effective, controlling costs and enabling effective supplier coordination. If you'd like to start taking full advantage of the power of data in your retail business, reliable software can help. We work closely with each of our customers in the retail industry to create unique, innovative data strategies.
So somehow you understood the importance of the big data and how the big firm, multinational firm, especially the retailers, because that is the touch point, the retail software, the touch point the customer visit most often. So how they are taking the advantage of these big data which they have. So we have seen in the video. Okay, moving further, so we understood what is, we are trying to understand the importance of the marketing information, which is having a which could be collected from the different sources of varieties of this different sources of uh, so what is next? So once you have collected what is important, you have to manage the marketing information. So competitive marketing intelligence, we'll talk about that one. So this slide talks about customer insights. So fresh understanding of the customer and the marketplace derived from the marketing information that become the basis for creating customer values and relationship. So keeping in mind, what do you think? We have seen the videos also that in the real world practices, the firms they use this marketing information. So we have a company case of Domino Pizzas. If you could remember, the initial 5 years, the company were struggling because they were not having a kind of customer insights. What customer what customer has the particular needs and wants. So they were lacking on that one. So what happened after the initial struggling? They in the company they tried to enter into the marketing research. So it listened to the feedback of the customer or consumer by conducting the marketing research and reinvented the product. I mean to say they have a kind of add-ons or in their product and services through the campaign, that is marketing campaign known as pizza turnaround promotion campaign. So finally what happened, through the transparent ads and the messages, it finally the company got lifted. So it happens like maybe the why the company, the question is why the company like Domino's, why they waited for 5 years to take to go ahead with the marketing research or about this sort of activities. Why not since the beginning? So that is an interesting debate. Like why what do you think, that should a company should go with the marketing intelligence or the marketing information or gathering the marketing research or data from the beginning or maybe after a certain time? So this sort of analysis is important. So we will have a like a debate this debating question later on the slide. So talking more about the marketing information system. So you understood the importance of the marketing information. Now we are trying to understand the system. So what I said at the beginning, that marketing information system is consists of both people and processes. So let's have a look on this one, how to define the marketing information system. So the company must design effective marketing information system, MIS in short, to provide managers with the right information at the right time, and that helps them to create customer values. So marketing information consists of, as a definition, it consists of people and the procedure dedicated to assessing information need, developing the needed information, and helping the decision makers to use the information to generate and validate actionable customer and market insight. So overall, you could see here in this diagram at the bottom the three main steps, and the three different separate parts are there. One step is the first one is assessing the information need. I mean to say, what sort of information actually you are looking for. Is there any need to have information? We have seen in the case of Domino Pizza just now, like the company were struggling during their initial 5 years. So they were trying to overcome with these challenges. So that particular time, the moment of time, the company decided to have a kind of information why the company is not able to move further, why the company is getting failure. I mean, why the customer is not buying their the product and services. So they analyzed that there is a need. So the first part is assessing the information need. If you don't have the information need, if you don't want it to have, then there is no need to have this sort of analysis. But so first stage is what exactly, what sort of exact information you are looking for. The second step is marketing, developing the needed information. Since you have some need, then the second step is developing the needed information. You will not look for the as a whole range of information. So the second step is very specific. What as per the specific information need, you will develop, you will gather those information. So developing the needed information. So the second stage is developing needed information. there are three different stages, or there are three different ways through which you can develop the needed information. As it is shown in the figure, it is an internal database. Either a company can look at the internal sources in the company itself, that is internal database. The second one is marketing intelligence. We'll talk about some of the marketing intelligence firm which provide the services. They keep have, and they do have the whole range of uh, information in the marketplace. So the marketing intelligence firm. And the third way is doing the marketing research. So if suppose you don't have the data which is like required for the analysis, so you will go to the market, you will conduct some sort of preliminary research, marketing research. So that is the second stage, developing the needed information. And finally, in the stage 3, I'm talking about the marketing information system. The stage 3 is analyzing and using the information. So that part is very, very important, especially keeping in mind the role of marketing managers to analyze those insights and useful, making best out of it. So altogether, we have the three different stages. As I said, developing the needed information, where there are three different phases. Like the one is the internal database, second one is marketing intelligence, and the third one is marketing research. So over here in this session, in the marketing research is something which will go in depth. We'll see the another like a certain number of stages which are involved in the marketing research. So as a whole, MIS, the marketing information system, MIS serves company managers, but also it serves the external partner as an information or provider. So who are the external partner, or who are the internal stakeholders to the firm? So MIS is like, it provides both external information to the both internal world and or external partners. So who are the internal one? Like your maybe the customer, maybe your executive, your employees, so your suppliers. All these are the internal to your kind of. But who are the external parties? Maybe the kind of we have seen the macro environmental forces where you have the government organization, different competitors, and other players in the same marketing environment. So as a whole, you need to think about the marketing environment. So it seems like the MIS is going to give information to everyone, your firm is specific, as well as the external party who are associated with your firm. They also need this sort of information. So we'll try to unpack one by one. So the first step stage is assessing the information need. So what is important here? Assessing the information need. As a marketeer or marketing manager, you will ask this sort of question. So over here, there are some sets of questions for assessing the marketing information need. For example, what type of decision are you regularly called upon to make? Is it more and more like customer handling issue, or is it a kind of defect in the product? What type of decision is like occurring most in particular time in the firm? So based on that, you need to ask certain also like questions like, what type of information do you need in order to make this decision? What type of information do you regularly get? And what are the information you are not getting? So what type of information would you like to get when you are not now getting? So there are different ways of asking the different questions. What information would you want daily? Is it like, are you looking for, in order to have a kind of resolve some particular issues, are you looking for weekly or monthly or yearly data? So you need to ask like, what is actually your need? Idea is to assess the marketing information need. Is it like how frequently you wanted to have those information? What a specific topic you would like to be kept informed of? What type of data analysis program would you like to see made available? So revolving around all these sort of questions, you will ask, what exactly is your need, information need? And then this is a kind of the first is very important. What is your information need? What type of data? What type of issues you are facing? What challenges you have? So based on that, you will decide. Is it a kind of first time you are entering to a market, so you don't have the any statistics on the target segment, or is it something like you are introducing something some sort of revolutionary products and services, not like nobody came to the market, so in that case you wanted to analyze is the initial response from the customer, or maybe you already launched the product 1 year back. Now you have noticed that the sales is not going up, or you're not able to crack the market, not market share in your hand. So maybe what you will do, like you will go to the market again, and you will see that why the customer is not attracted by your product and services rather than your competitor product. So there could be a lot range of information needs. So you need to, as a marketer or manager, you need to clarify, you need to identify what exactly is the need, I mean, in terms of information. So based on the need, you will look for a particular information. Okay, think about this is like a kind of self exercise that you don't have a person to chat around you. So what do you think, as a marketer of a new restaurant, what questions would you ask your customer? Think about this one. As a marketer, imagine yourself in a market. You are a marketing manager of a new restaurant recently opened somewhere in the Justmond or maybe the Castle, and you are a marketing manager. What questions would you ask your customer? You can use the chat box. Let me see like how you guys use the chat box for having interaction, or you can just unmute and just speak. If anyway, both ways are okay to me. So my question, once again, I should repeat. As a marketer for a new restaurant, what questions would you ask your customer? Yes, anyone? I mean to say, like, do you think there is a need? First, you ask yourself, do you think do you need any further marketing information? If everything is going well, why you should need information? But if, since you are the first time, or maybe this is your first firm you are introducing, or maybe already those retail shop, like those places already other competitors are there, other players are there. So think about keeping on those lines. What should be the questions you would ask to your customer? Because you are totally, I mean, like assuming that, consider yourself as a kind of entrepreneur, right? The first time you started a new business, you think about what food do you miss the okay most, and is it available in Australia? Yeah, sounds good. I mean to say, it directly interact with, it's an indication, you are giving indication that I will ask regarding what product, what services you wanted to have. I mean, the product also in terms of like how many varieties you wanted to have, how many ethnic food you wanted to have, or how many diversity, like in taste, like is it like moderate level, average level of, so is it more spicy? So maybe you're I agree with you. You will ask most of the stuffs revolving around the kind of fooding, because that is the key element you wanted to sell. But apart from that, you can ask certain other things like what additional services it like to have. Is it, are they looking for are they willing to go ahead asking for the home delivery sometimes? So maybe the related questions you can ask further. So let's move on further. So once you understand the importance of assessing the information need, and the second step is developing the needed information using three different ways: internal database, marketing intelligence, and marketing research. So let's go through all these three one by one. So there are three different ways. So what is internal data? Internal database are electronic collection of the consumer and the market information obtained from the data sources within the company network. That's why it is known as internal, something internal within the company network. It can be developed or it can provide powerful customer insight, and it could be act as a source of competitive advantage. Yeah, the essence of data when in the field, so salesperson to be more effective. I mean to say, like, you have your salesperson is in the market, and they directly interact with the customer. So you should collect all those information from your salesperson. They will tell you exactly what customer is looking for, what at what point of time or at what stage they are struggling in your while using your product and services. So these are the touch points from where you can gather the data, and those are known as the internal database. That is a kind of ready-made steps you already have in your firm all the time. I mean to say, most of the time, the executive, the top decision makers, they use the internal data to make uh, sort of forecasting for the next year, for the short term, or maybe for the long term. Okay. Second one is competitive marketing intelligence. You could see here one example is the LexisNexis. The company competitive marketing intelligence general database services such as LexisNexis Nexus put an incredible wealth of information at the fingerprint of the marketing decision makers. I mean to say, these are the marketing agency, which have a very big database, not for a particular firm, but whole range of firm, whole range of industry and sectors. So suppose you wanted to have an analysis of how particular industry, how the firms are, how much the market share has been captured by each of the firm in this particular industry. So you just go through this sort of company, you ask them for some data, they will provide you all the like sector specific data, and then later on you can have a kind of, okay, you wanted to position in this segment, but already there are players, so what should be the selective study. So I mean to say, these companies, they provide lot of data. I mean, they have all the data which you are willing to have, but it's not a kind of primary data. Keep in mind, I'm talking about they have this huge resource of the secondary data. I mean, which is already there in the public. So they have a kind of customized one, collection version of, like, although you can have an access of each and individual firm annual reports, you go and to the respective firm's website, you will get all the information. But these agencies, they keep all the information around 10,000 firms, suppose. So they have the expertise in that one. So that is the competitive marketing intelligence. So they also provide a kind of marketing information. So competitive marketing intelligence is the systematic monitoring, collection, and analysis of publicly available information. What I say, individually, the company, they upload their annual report, short-term, long-term, vision, mission, everything is publicly available. But these firms, they systematically monitor, collect all those, like performance related data, or like company market cap, or maybe the different ratio analysis, risk analysis, everything they have in their portfolio. So it's all about publicly available data on the customer, competitors, and the development in the marketing environment. And it helps marketers to gain insight into how the customer talk about and connect with their brand. So everything is they do provide, but except the primary or phrase understanding, they do, because they are only in the secondary. All this intelligence system is based on the secondary database, secondary information, which is already available in the market. Hope this one is clear. Otherwise, we have a, I think, a small video on the same form. Okay, at the down we have. So let's go through the company. For example, I have two different examples. One is the LexisNexis and the second one is Bloomberg Intelligence. So it helps you in understanding what I'm understanding, like it's a kind of marketing intelligence firm. So what sort of work they are doing, let's analyze using this small videos. Where is that? This is the screen, this is okay, probably over here. Big data is over, yeah.
Hello, and welcome to this quick guide to meeting prep research with LexisNexis Sales Intelligence Solutions. I'm starting in Prospect Portfolio with Company Profile. These profiles include not only basic company descriptions, but also in-depth information on company financials, current news, legal filings, mergers and acquisitions activity, company hierarchy data, and more. Contact information is great, but making the first call successful requires deeper insight. The company snapshot has done the work for you with a collection of important reports. Also, review mentions of the company in recent news and create an alert to stay up to date. Browse the company's executives and even click to jump to their LinkedIn profiles. Review the company's financials, legal history, and intellectual property for deep dive research. Now that you've reviewed the company report, rely on LexisNexis Smart Meeting with Microsoft Outlook to make sure you don't miss any new developments before you meet with this company. Smart Meeting will send you a mobile-friendly snapshot report before your meeting with the newest information, so you always know about that executive move or this morning's news story. Go beyond basic meeting prep with LexisNexis Sales Solutions. Superior content and exclusive tools for all stages of the sales cycle. For more information, visit the address on your screen.
So you could have heard the firm, a UK well-known firm in the financial sector, Bloomberg. So they do have their own marketing intelligence system. Just have a quick look on this one. So there are so many marketing intelligence firms around the world. So where is that? I wanted to create this one.
Hi, in this Bloomberg video tutorial, we are going to be looking at Bloomberg Intelligence within the Bloomberg Terminal. Once logged in, type the shortcut BI into the Bloomberg Terminal. Unlike in previous videos, you do not need to enter your specific company first, but instead know what industry it is in. Because this is the School of Journalism and Mass Communication, we are going to select Communications under the Sectors tab. Under Media, select the appropriate industry. As an example, we will look at entertainment content, which can be identified by the shortcut BIDVENN. The information that will be the most useful to you is located under the Data Library section in the right-hand column here. When clicking on Featured, you are given an overview of data that influences that particular market. For this example, data such as disposable income and gross domestic product are used to determine what the average person can spend on entertainment by year. By clicking the graph icons next to the information, you get a visual representation of the data over time. Under the Market Share tab, you will see the amount of the market that each corporation in the industry possesses. There is also financial data that reflects different aspects of the market, such as advertising revenue and affiliate revenue. At the top of the screen are tabs with options to look through different types of information related to market share. While this example is looking at media networks, data concerning other aspects of the industry, such as films and other businesses, such as theme parks, are available. Moving on to the Macro tab, this shows more in-depth economic and social information such as population, consumer expenditure, and percentage of U.S. households with a TV in order to better understand the projections and revenue of the chosen industry. Moving on to the Industry tab, the data describes the amount of money in different kinds of revenue, such as advertising, affiliate, and operating revenue. Many aspects of this information can also be shown through different tabs at the top, depicting specific industry areas. Options include film, box office, and networks, but these options vary across each industry. The graphing function is important for comparing the different types of revenue across one type of entertainment industry, and the charts are in real time. As shown in previous videos, the graphs are all customizable in various ways. Once in the graph section, just click Show Data here, and it will take you back to the data lists. The final tab that will be important is the Company tab. The data here shows things like sales growth, profitability, and cash flow over time. A feature that can help when looking at specific companies is the Select Companies button. This allows you to tick the boxes of the specific companies that you would like information for. Click the Update button, and the results will filter to only the companies that you chose. The data that we have just viewed is useful to the entertainment industry. Note that data elements may not be labeled the same across different industries, such as internet and publishing. Those industries may have different but equally important information listed under their respective data library sections. To learn more, check out our other Bloomberg Terminal video.
I wanted to show you this video. Anybody, could you guess why I wanted to show you the Bloomberg video? Think about.
Because the data that Bloomberg provided is helpful for marketers to apply and create strategies for products and services.
Very true, very true. And that is the purpose of, why they are in the marketing intelligence agency, like they act as that one. But why it is important for me, I was trying to motivate you guys because you are a marketer, right? So most of the time the marketing, as a marketing executive or as a field of marketing, you think always like you have to work for a company just as a marketing manager. You have to just take care of the product portfolio, frame the strategy around. Well, this is something which is very different one. I mean to say, if you are very good in analytics, if you are very good in maths or in logical thinking and all, you can think about building or molding your career in this direction. The Bloombergs and the Lexis and all these firms, these intelligence firms, agencies are highly rated, highly reputed in the world, and they are the highest pay maker also in the industry. So you can think about, if you are logically very sound, like if you something like the data, playing with the data, trying to play with the analytics tools and all, if you think that that is something which is your cup of tea, you wanted to have, then try to mold your career, future career. I'm telling you, this is like very, and the big data analytics, and there are lots of things are happening around the world in this domain, in this particular domain, where the company is looking for more and more a smart way, improved technology in order to have a kind of analysis of the big data from the big data. So this is a kind of already on the trend from last 2 decades. Even I entered for like the 8th round of, I got rejected from the Bloomberg on the 8th round. Still I could remember when I was doing my master's from in Switzerland. So there's a huge kind of trend. People are, those who are thinking that they can mold in this direction, they can think about choosing the career in this marketing and intelligence firms. So that was my purpose, at the same time. So I hope that I tried to motivate you in some different direction. But as a marketeer, like, you have the kind of now broad sort of career prospects as well. So continuing to the competitive marketing intelligence, we understood. So go back. So over here we have developing marketing information. There are 3 different ways. So we understood the importance of internal data, which is ready-made things, which is already in your hand all the time. I mean to say, in the hand of decision makers. The second one is competitive marketing intelligence firm. It's a third party who systematically gather the data, financial data, market data, and all the macro environment related data, company hierarchies, even the board of director, the company payments, all the information, and year wise they keep on updating. So yearly they monitor, and they have the endless. Even as a researcher, most of the researcher now who are working around the world on the secondary data, we generally purchase the access from these firms, and then we download the data for suppose 10 years US firm data, and then we do the analysis. And most of the researcher, PhD guy students over here, those who are in doing the secondary research analysis, they are just taking the help of, they are purchasing the kind of access from this competitive marketing intelligence firm. So they are purchasing the access for a particular time by paying the huge amount of money, and then you download it and do the research and submit your thesis, and that's how it is going. So you understood the internal data, you understood the competitive marketing intelligence. Now the third way is marketing research. Over here I will we will have a kind of bit more understanding, we'll go in detail. So marketing research, so let me define this term first. What is marketing research? It is a systematic design, collection, analysis, and reporting of the data relevant to the specific marketing situation facing an organization. I mean to say, why you will think about doing marketing research if everything seems like good? Any opinion? Do you think that if everything is going well, there is no need to have a market research? Can you contradict my statement, any one of you? Do you think still it is needed to go ahead with the marketing research if everything is going fine? Think about and try to contradict my statement. Or should I ask anybody? Like, let me choose somebody who can speak. Susan Lu, are you here?
Yes.
Can you comment what I said just now? If everything is fine, is there any need to have a market research then? Yes or no?
Yes.
Still you wanted to have? Yes. But what is your argument? Why you say yes? Why not no? Think. Jara, are you here? Jara? Yes, but you are not able to speak. Can you say yes or no, and with the reason? Or anybody who wanted to contribute here? Enoch, are you here? Enoch?
Yes, sir.
Can you speak, like, can you suggest why it is yes or no for you? Okay, according to Jara, she is saying that there is no need to do the market research if everything is okay. Okay, even I agree with your statement, because your argument says that if everything is okay, there is no need. Okay, most of the, I agree with that, and mostly this is the kind of general perception, or this is the something which most of the firm they think about. But Jared, can you think about a firm like Apple? Nobody in the world they thought about computer. Think about Microsoft, or think about Apple like Macintosh. If you go to the market and ask, do you want a kind of product Macintosh? They will never say that yes or no. So I'm not contradicting your statement, but even the company, if everything is right, if any, after that you can think about doing the market research. If something is, if your idea is revolutionary, I mean to say, you're trying to come up with something which is the first time. The customer, even they are not well educated about that product and services. Even they have not dreamed about it. But you as a leader, as a company, you are trying to introduce in the market.
I
Okay.
think it depends. It
Yeah, please go
depends.
ahead.
Depends if you really need the research or not. Uh, maybe you just want to market on a normal scale, so you don't want to place too much cost on giving much or much importance to what you're selling. So let's say just for like grocery, just normal marketing, no need to do this much
Mhm.
research.
Yes.
While
Mhm.
like for specialized companies, like you said, Apple, for sure they need to put a lot of effort in marketing. So yeah, it really depends.
Yes,
In my case, yeah.
yes. So see, if you're operating in a small scale, yes, maybe it's not required at the beginning, but think about over a period of time. If suppose you wanted to grow further, wanted to expand from the domestic region to the regional, or maybe the international. So probably that point of time you have to do. So there could be yeah, it depends, because you need to have some sort of resources. Conducting the marketing research is not so easy. It needs a kind of resources in terms of manpower, in terms of uh, I will talk about, because some of the slides talks revolves around this discussion. Then you have done the research beforehand before releasing a new product. So it depends. Again, if you suppose at the beginning of you don't have much of resources, I mean to say, to conduct, so maybe you have not decided then, but later on, we have seen in the case of like a small case of I was talking about the Dominoes. Maybe probably they were not having much resources at the beginning, but after 5 years they wanted to see that why the sales is not growing. So I mean to say, it depends. I agree with that one. Even there are, I mean to say that even there are companies, if for them, if everything is fine, still they involve in the market research. I agree with that. It's a kind of lots of resources you need to have in order to, before going more ahead with the marketing research. So yes, as a small players, entrepreneurs, you won't do much at the beginning. I got your point. So it helps, marketing research helps marketers to access the customer behavior, market potential, shares, to measure the effectiveness of pricing, product distribution, and it's all about a whole range of marketing mix related questions you wanted to have. You wanted to examine those marketing mix element by conducting the marketing research. So there are 4 stages in the marketing research process. The first one is defining the problem and research objectives. No objective or no problem, again the question is why then we'll do that. So it's important to define, even if you don't have the problem, or still you can think about having a kind of what if you have something, a kind of dream project or dream concept or something you wanted to test, is it like viable or not, is the customer is like willing to have something, so some sort of, so idea is to have a first step, defining the problem or identifying the issues or identifying the new challenges, which, so something like that. And based on that problem you need to frame the research objective. The second stage is, once you decide on the research objective, you need to develop the research plan. And for that, what is important? You need to collect the information. You need to collect the data, collect the information. Stage third is implementing the research plan, collecting and analyzing the data. And the stage four is interpretation and making the reporting of the findings. Keep these 4 steps in mind. We will go one by one. As I said, the idea is to understand marketing research in bit more detail. So defining the problem and research objective. So identifying the issues and then accordingly framing the objective. So there are 3 different sort of research you can think about depending on the kind of problem or the issues. The first one is exploratory research. You can think about conducting exploratory research, or maybe the descriptive research, or sometimes casual causal research, sorry, causal research. So what is exploratory, what is descriptive, and what is causal? Exploratory research, I mean to say you never identified those issues before. It's the first time. So you even you don't know in depth the issues around that particular stuff. So you wanted to have exploratory research. I mean to say you wanted to just explore more and more. So the marketing research used to gather preliminary information that will help to define the problem and suggest the hypothesis. Even means exploratory research is even you wanted to define the exact problem. What is the nature, exact nature of the problem? You're not knowing because this happened the first time. So you will not jump to the descriptive research or the causal research. You will have a kind of exploratory research to understand the scenario, understand the whole elements, whole kind of contingencies, factors revolving around that issues. So that sort of research will be exploratory research by the name itself. You're trying to explore it for the first time, or maybe not the other. You're not able to find out any report which says that your competitors also face the similar situation and all. So you don't know how to deal with that. So your research will be more as an exploratory research. The second way of research will be descriptive research. I mean to say, you just wanted to have more and more. You wanted to describe in a better way. In the first case, it was the first time you are trying to explore, you're trying to explain it. But in the second case, marketing research used to better describe the marketing problem, situation, and market. So that is the descriptive research. And the third one is causal research, cause and effect. So the marketing research used to test hypotheses, which could be generated in the first step, like exploratory research, where you have suggested some hypothesis that A can lead to B, B can lead to C, or A can lead to C through B, or C can moderate the relationship between A to B. Some hypothesis you have generated in the first step, or is in the exploratory research. So in the third research, you wanted to establish the relationship between different construct, A to B, B to C, A to C, or C to A, something like that. So the marketing research used to test the hypothesis about the cause and effect relationship. I mean to say, does the introduction of the new product leads to more market share? That could be a hypothesis. Or does the increase in advertising amount lead to more market share? That could be another hypothesis. Or does the firm performance, the current performance of the firm, leads to more kind of gain in the market share, something like that. The proposition, it depends on the kind of objective you have as a researcher. In my research, I have taken a mix of two different research. So altogether in my PhD research, I have selected a combination of exploratory and causal research. So I'm trying to see in my research, I'm trying to explore how the competition or the competitors are generally viewed as a kind of enemy, right? Hard-on competitors, we need to compete. So it's a kind of revenge on the competitive stuff. So always we look a competitor something as a kind of opposite to, it's a kind of enemy sort of. But I'm doing a research where I'm trying to see what is the possibility of having a kind of competitive collaboration. I mean, the collaboration with the competitors, and that is my current PhD, which I'm doing at University of Newcastle. So even the term for you also, like, why you will think about why should we go and collaborate with competitors? They are our enemy, and because of that only, their presence only, I'm not able to perform in the market. So why should I will go and collaborate with my competitors? So even this idea is not well explored in the literature. So I can't jump directly to the third stage like causal research. So because of the nature of my research, I selected to first explore what are the activities, what are the areas where there is a possibility to have a kind of competitive collaboration. And on the basis of that, I have come up with certain proposition. I mean to say there are 3 and 4 different hypotheses I have generated that A leads to B. I mean to say for me, the competitive collaboration leads to high financial performance of the firm. That was my first hypothesis. The second hypothesis was competitive collaboration leads to more social performance. That was my second one. And the third one was some more steps in the research. Probably it's not better for you to understand now, but keep in mind, I have generated those hypotheses during my exploratory research. And in the casual, in terms of seeing the relationship between the different construct, I jump to the causal research, and then I use the different analytics tools. You might have heard about SPSS. I have used AMOS. I have used the structure equation modeling. So in order to establish the relationship between A to B, B to C, and C to D. So based on the objective, what is important? Defining the problem. My problem was, it's not a problem, but I was trying to explore for the first time competitive collaboration in the context of corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So even the problem, even the issue was not well explored in the literature. And I was a PhD researcher, maybe the first in terms of the first in terms of the all research and current researcher. I'm the first who is exploring this thing. So defining the problem is, it's not always the problem. Try to understand. Problem is not exactly the problem. It could be an issue. It could be a challenge. It could be a something. Maybe there are some issues in the literature, or maybe there are issues in the real world problem. So it could be anything, or maybe it's something which is the first time you wanted to proposition or you wanted to explore first. So something it could be. So based on that, you can choose the research objective in terms of exploratory, descriptive, or the causal research. Hope that is clear, right? Given that marketing research is so important, why do you think that so many companies neglect to conduct the marketing research? I think we had a small discussion around this, and I could see some of you have written it's a wastage of time, resources, and all. But can you have some more points around this? Why you think that not every firm they think about, or they neglect the marketing research? One reason is clearly coming out is like resources. If you don't have the resources, you probably you won't think about doing the marketing research at the beginning. Is there any other factor apart from the resources?
Maybe because many companies don't know how important conducting the research is.
Okay, so they are not really understanding the importance of conducting. I agree with that. That could be a reason, and I think that applies to most of the firm.
Mm.
Any other reason? Conducting a marketing research is okay, but still, are you sure that the findings which you are getting is going to give you the right direction? Is it a right kind of insight? Sometimes we have seen the marketing blunders of Coca-Cola. If you could remember, do you remember that one? The marketing blunder of Coca-Cola, or marketing blunder of there's big multinationals. Even they conducted the marketing research, they failed to capture the right insight, customer insight. Why? Because they have chosen the wrong segment as they responded. Wrong people. You interviewed the wrong people. Your result is in a year then. It's no more valid. And based on that, you decided to go ahead launching, full-fledged launching. And what happened after a certain period of time? Totally collapsed. And this happened with the Coca-Cola company. Let me show. I don't know why. I think I have that file. Just hang on. Marketing blunders of Coca-Cola. Where is that file? Yes, over here. Oh my God, where is that file? Okay, over here. So you could see here we have a case study. Yes, New Coke, a classic marketing research blunder. Think about the company like Coca-Cola. They introduced New Coke. Why? Because the customer were telling that they have already fed up with the old taste. But they were not the right segment, or they were not the right people who were giving the response, who responded actually. And what happened? The company in 1985, they introduced New Coke with new flavor, get rid, and saying the old loyal customer that just get rid of all old taste. What happened after few months? Launching the product in 1985, spending how much time, billion dollar? 4 billion, spending 4 billions, $4 million and more, and then 2 years to test the reformulation of, see the time spending, money spending, people and energy spending. Why the company they failed? The Coca-Cola failed to take the adequate account of psychological aspect of the brand loyalty. So they ignored some of the key elements. They have asked the wrong question. Even, yeah, this one. Even you have responded to the right person, you have picked up the right person.
Oh, sir, are you showing a PDF file?
Yeah, you guys are not able to see.
Yeah,
Oh,
we couldn't see it.
you're okay now.
Yes, now we can see it.
Oh, okay. So what I was telling, that this is the classic example of the marketing research blunder. Thanks for reminding. Sometimes I feel that it is the same as for you, but yeah. So this case is classic marketing research blunder by New Coca-Cola. So they introduced New Coke, and they were suggesting all or like the loyal customer of the Coke that just get rid of the old taste. No more. Now New Coke will be available for you. No more the old Coke. And they introduced this one in 1985. They took the, how many responded? 200,000, a huge one, huge amount of money, 4 millions spending with 2 and more years of the time we spending. Lots of energy, lots of people were involved in this marketing research because of the huge company. And then finally, what happened? It failed. Why? Although they have selected the right respondent, I mean to say in this case, but the kind of question they asked to the customer was wrong. I mean to say they failed to take the adequate account of psychological aspect of the brand loyalty. They missed out. They never thought about those customers who are having a kind of psychological attachment with the brand. They failed to ask certain questions, and because of that, the kind of insights they got were wrong. And on the basis of the wrong findings, they introduced the new Coke into the market in 1985, and very soon across the globe, across the different countries. But they have to take this decision back. I think after just soon after 4 months, they have taken and they reintroduced the old Coke. They took this the new product back from the market within 4 months, and they reintroduced the old taste of the Coke. Then, go back here. So I was talking about the marketing research is so important. There are companies who neglect it because of they are not understanding much about the importance. I agree with that one. But there are some critical aspects which are involved in conducting the marketing research, like conducting or selecting the right respondent and asking the right question. Hope this is clear for you. Okay. So the first step, you understood the asking the framing the research objective and the problem. The second stage is developing the research plan. Are you guys wanted to have a break for 5 minutes, or should I continue and finish?
Let's continue and finish.
Okay.
Oh, wait, you were saying done? You want a break?
No, continue and finish.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, the same thing.
Why?
Okay. Donimala is also supporting the same thing, so it's better to go ahead. Okay. So developing the research plan, that is the second stage, right? So once you decided about your problem or framed your objectives, the second thing is your research plan. I mean to say that you need to think about the data. Is it a secondary data or is it a primary data? And I'm sure you hang on. Okay. Did you hear before the term like the primary data or secondary data? I think I discussed about like just before I was discussing about the secondary data. Secondary data, which is like publicly available. You can have an annual report. You can have a different sort of like public report in terms of article or some of the research findings or some agencies who are regularly providing you the data. So those are the secondary data, like consist of the information that already exists somewhere, having been collected for another purpose. For example, information on the internet, existing research result, information from agencies, all these are the sources of secondary data. But what is primary data? Think about, in my research case, exploring the competition, the competitive collaboration for the first time, as I said. So I'm supposed to use the primary data because there is no secondary data, or there are very less information available. So through the primary research or through the exploratory research objective, keep in mind what sort of data is appropriate. Primary data, because you are trying to explore something is the first time, so that means you need to rely more and more on the first time of data, primary data. So the primary data consists of the information collected for the use a specific purpose at hand, for example survey, direct observation, focus group discussion, or interview kind of, right? In my research, I have conducted first 15 interviews in Australia. I went to the top executive and middle level managers asking why you think, what are the areas, why you think that the competitive collaboration is important. Did you have you been in the competitive collaboration in the last 5 years? So I was asking for 45 minutes. I was having a set of questions and I was asking, keep on asking, and I took the permission for recording. I came back with those recording, I interpreted it, I decoded it, and then on the basis of all the research, the interview findings, I was trying to understand some sort of pattern. So that is the kind of the purpose of collecting the primary data. I think we have more. So these are the examples of sources of secondary data. You see here, it could be internal resources like company profit and the financial statement, balance sheet, sales figure. All these are the internal resources. Government publication like Australian Bureau of Statistics, or maybe the Tourism Research Australia, different agencies, periodicals and the books. Some the data are available in that one. The Business Periodicals Index, trade press release, marketing magazines, so, and even the commercial data like as I said like Euromonitor or maybe the Bloomberg. They are the commercial data and marketing research agencies. They provide the data. So these all together are the sources of secondary data, which is publicly available. So as a researcher, if you have decided to work on the secondary data, you don't have to go to the market, interview someone, or you have to collect the survey or something like that. So all the data is already available. Somewhere it is publicly available. Continuing with the research plan. So using the commercial online database, I mean to say we have seen that Nexus or the ProQuest, or we have seen the Bloomberg, they are having a commercial online database, which they give you the access and just use it for your research work, research purposes for the certain period of time. So what important thing as a researcher you have to keep in mind, the researcher must evaluate secondary information carefully on the following 4 criteria. Relevance. Does the data, secondary data, fits the research project needs? If I wanted to see or explore how the board of governor in a firm, they drive, how the composition of board of governor leads to the decision related to the marketing, if that is suppose my proposition, and I wanted to see, or I wanted to study this one in the context of Australia, and if I'm taking a kind of database from some of the marketing intelligence firm in Australia, I need to see is that database contains this information or not, like the composition of the board in the last 10 years, and then financial projection and the marketing expenditure, advertising, all these data are there. If they are not able to provide me those data related to the variables which I'm interested to study, I mean, this is not no more, that database is not a kind of relevant for me. The second one is accuracy. Reliably collected and reported. You can't, there are lots of like agencies in the market, but you can't rely everyone. I mean, you can rely depending on the reliability and all. You might have to spend more and more in terms of purchasing those data. I mean to say that government publicly available data are more reliable, or you could say that the big multinationals, consultancy firms like, as I said, Bloomberg and all, those data are more reliable. But more and more reliable data means you need to pay more and more amount to buy that one, to have access of that. Currency, I mean to say how updated it is. If you wanted to have a kind of analysis for the last 10 years, I mean to say from 2007 to 2009 to 2018, 10 years of data. So is it accurate or updated or not? If not, then it is no more useful for your research purpose. And impartiality, and objectively collected and reported. So these are the 4 criteria you need to take care in mind. And based on that, you will select like who is the best commercial online database provider. I hope this is clear. So I talked much about the secondary database because we are in the stage 2nd, where developing the research plan, which talks about selecting the right sort of data, primary data or secondary data. So we have discussed about the secondary data, sources of secondary data, and the sum of the criteria for the evaluation of secondary data. Now let's talk about primary data. So what are the different research approaches for collecting the primary data? What is primary data? It's a first hand-on data. I mean, this data, you as a researcher, you went to the field, you interacted with the people, you have taken the interview with the people, you asked the questionnaire to the respondent, and then you came back. I mean, this sort of primary data is only available to you. No other researcher in the world has the access of the data which I collected in Australia in the context of competitive collaboration. It is with me, and that gives me more and more opportunity. But there are limitations of the secondary data. Secondary data is available to every researcher around this world. The same US data is also available to any researcher who is doing work in UK or in Europe or Japan, somewhere, anywhere. But the primary data, the beauty of the primary data is it is always with you. You are the master. Unless until you are not sharing it publicly, it is only with you. And I have that advantage. But I paid money for that, for going to the market. I spend money. I put my energy, I put my time, everything. So that's why it is more precious for my research. So the different ways, different approaches, either you can have an observation. I mean, if you wanted to see how the teamwork is effective or not. You just assign, what you call one group of a student and just assign some responsibility and just observe how they are coordinating, how they are motivating each other, or how to what extent they are involved in the productive way or not in the productive way. So you can have a kind of observation, and with that, whatever will come out will be the kind of the first hand data. It's a primary data. Survey question, you have questionnaire instrument, you wanted to ask some questions, so you picked up some of the respondent and you requested them that could you please fill this survey questionnaire. It will take 5 to 7 minutes over, and then these are the instructions and set of questions, and they will choose some of the yes or no, or maybe multiple. So it depends, a kind of survey questionnaire. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that one. You could have noticed some of the researchers, they are trying to chase you somewhere in retail shop or somewhere in other places to fill some of the survey form. So you know how it goes. The third approach is experimental research. Is best suited for gathering causal relationship. Experiment, why we do the experiment? Why the whole world is nowadays doing the experiment on the vaccine for the coronavirus. Corona vaccine. So they are doing the experiment. So where in the experiment you have a kind of control group and one as a treatment group, two different groups. So in the control group, you will not give any medicine or the newly made medicine which you wanted to see is it effective for the corona or not. And for the treatment group, you will give the dose to those in the part of treatment group. And then after certain 1 month or maybe 6 months or 3 months, you will see the improvement in both in the regular group or in the, if there is no difference between these two group of people, the vaccine is not at all effective. But if your result says that okay, in the treatment group health got improved, that means vaccine is working. So it's a kind of experimental setting. So these are the different research approaches. You have the contact method, how different ways of approaching to the respondent. I mean, you can either mail it, you can telephone it, and even sometimes if the higher executive, some of the executives who are very busy, they say, I don't have time, I'm sorry, I won't allow you to come here and visit my office for the interview. So I requested them, can you be available after the work time in the evening for 40 minutes or something? And they agreed, and then I had a kind of telephonic interview. That is another way. Personal is the face-to-face.
Want me to start it?
Hello.
Start your
I
mic.
could hear some background noise. Could you put it off? Otherwise, let me mute it. All good now? So I was okay. So I was talking about the personal one. Yes, they gave me the time, and I visited most of the location in New South Wales. I planned, I set the timing, they provided me this venue, this office, could you come at this time? I went there. So it's a kind of personal. And then sitting just opposite, I asked them the permission. I was having a kind of consent form that he's giving me permission to record, like that. It's a personal one. And then the fourth one is online. Nowadays, like just, even for conducting the survey, I took the help of Qualtrics. Did you hear that the firm like SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics? These are the online service provider in terms of your surveying. So the different ways, like even you can have 100 people, you can write online message, or online you can request it. So it's an online one. Talking about the sampling plan, you need to, whenever you collect the primary data, you need to consider all these approaches. What is appropriate method? What is the sampling plan? What is the research instrument? You don't have to think about all these things if you are doing the research using the secondary data. So which one do you think? Which one is, can be at the end, okay, after this discussion, I just wanted to have your views, like which one you think is like more appropriate or more valid, or something we will discuss about. But think about in the case of primary data collection, you need to take care of, you need to find out, you need to have a kind of decision regarding research approaches. appropriate research methods, sampling plan, or the research instrument. What are the sampling plan? Which is the sampling unit? For me, in order to analyze the competitive collaboration with competitors, I mean the collaboration with competitors, what do you think? Who is the right person to give the answer? Can I ask to anybody in the organization, and do you think that they will talk about the competitive collaboration? No. Only the top management, the decision maker, C-level executive, either chief marketing officer or chief executive officer or the financial officer, only the C-level executive, they have more insight, more idea about which are the competitive firms they are in the collaboration. So I decided as a sampling unit, the top level of executive, that was my sampling unit in any of the Australian firm. So that was my sampling unit. Sampling size, again, there are based on the research or based on the existing research. If you see some of the research in the similar domain, they will give you a kind of clue that what should be the appropriate size of the sample. I mean to say, how many interviews will be enough? Is it like 1,000, or is it 100, or is it 15 or 20? So in my case, I took around 24 interviews, and my research, this sort of research which I was doing, I got a notion from the existing researcher that 20 to 25 will be enough for exploring some new themes. So then I suggested that the sample size of 20 to 25 is enough for my conducting my exploratory research in the stage 1. It could vary from, it depends on the research objective. And then sampling procedure, like how you will select the sample. I mean to say, is it a random sample, or is it a non-random sample? Or maybe, what do you think? If you're doing something new, random sample is okay, right? But many of the times, if you select the random people at random, and if you request, they will say, no, I don't have time. Sorry, I can't give you. Or this information is very secrecy sort of thing. I won't give you all information about the competitive collaboration. So in that case, there could be another approach. Maybe what I will do is I will just ask some of my friends that I can request some of my friends that, do you know somebody in the industry who is on the top position anywhere in the Newcastle? Suppose he is giving one name. I interviewed that guy, and then I request that guy, can you provide another name? So this is another technique of sampling. This is known as snowball, like jumping one to another, another to another. It's a kind of snowball approach or procedure. So there are different ways of sampling, selecting the right sample. And talking about the research instrument, is it a survey questionnaire or is it a mechanical instrument? I think we have some slides over here. How would a marketeer of a new restaurant use observational survey or experimental research? I think we had a discussion on this one. Maybe you can observe how the customer who came to your premise, how they feel regarding the physical evidence. One of the marketing P decision, the kind of feeling, look and feel about your restaurant. You can just observe, like you can have an observation from sitting from one corner. Just observe, do they feel comfortable, or is there anything which makes them, maybe the proper lighting is not bright, or maybe it is too dull, or maybe a kind of the movement of the people inside the table or across the table is not convenient. You wanted to observe. So that could be, you can do it. Survey is a straight way, you can just ask, okay, sir, these are the 10 questions. Can you answer this one? Or maybe once they finish they are eating, you can request, while giving the bill and all, you can request them, if you have time, just fill this information, like how good was the food, good was the behavior of the executive, how good was the decorum inside the kind of thing. It's a kind of survey. Probably experimental, you will not do much in the restaurant, maybe, but maybe applicable in the other context, but not even in the a new restaurant, you wanted to experiment anything? Yes, you can have experiment, or maybe when you have a kind of new sort of fooding item, or you wanted to introduce some new flavor and all, you will put one group of customer, regular customer as a like regular customer, or one is a like treatment customer like group, and you wanted to see those who are having a kind of add-on flavor or something, are they more satisfied or something. You can think about experimental research design in the context of new restaurant as well. It all depends how brilliant you are. I mean to say, how logical you are, how logical is your thinking. The primary data collection, we have seen the different approaches, different methods, different instruments. So there is a kind of trade-off. I mean to say, you know, if you are having a kind of personal kind of approach, face-to-face interview sort of, what about the cost? It's poor, whereas in the online you have to pay more and more. I think these are the certain attributes. You see the risk. If you wanted to have quick response, then which mode will be more appropriate? You could see that for the response rate, mail and telephone is poor, whereas the personal face-to-face is having a good response rate, whereas online survey and all, it's a fair one. Which one is more flexible in terms of approach? Again, the personal is more excellent. It's a kind of, as I said, it's a kind of trade-off analysis. Like, you can't achieve everything good points in for one. So I mean, each approach has certain advantage, certain disadvantage. So you have to take a proper, as a researcher, you are free to choose, but it has to be, idea is to, it has to fulfill the objective of your marketing, or objective of your research. For interviewing, either you can have individual interviewing or group interviewing. For my research, I was trying to interview the individual top level managers of the different firms working in the different industry. So I found it's more appropriate for like exploring the phenomena like competitive relationship with the customer. But you can think about group interviewing also. I mean to say, you wanted to explore why certain attributes is not working. So what certain features the customer is not liking, or not satisfied with certain features you added in your product and services. So what you did, you requested 10 people, 10 consumers, and you allow them to sit in a kind of conference room. It's a kind of group interviewing. It's a kind of more you can say it's a kind of focus group interviewing. So all 10 members are the part of a focus group. And you could have a similar 3 and 4 different focus group consist of 8 to 10 consumer. And then you're trying to unpack, you're trying to ask why, what is the problem? Keep on asking in a different ways so that they can come up with the whole, what is there in heart and what is in the mind. Everything you're trying to capture what is coming on. Remember the black box? While we were talking about the consumer behavior, the process, we talked about the black box. What is there in the mind of the customer? It's very difficult to understand what is going on in the mind. And the moment, as a marketeer, a marketing manager, the moment you crack that, you understood that what is going on in the mind, then everything is, then it will be in your control. You will be able to crack anything. So the focused group interview is the group interview where you requested a group of people to sit, discuss within a certain period of time. Time allocated is like 15 to 20 minutes. You could say that, okay, initial 20 minutes, I wanted all of you 8 to 10 who are sitting in this conference room to talk and discuss about the attributes, why it is not working, these features, why customer is liking or why it is not accepted by the customer. And then last 10 minutes, you just request them that I will ask some certain question in order to make sure that all the aspects has been covered in depth in this discussion. So as a moderator, as a researcher, you will be there in the conference room to moderate the discussion. So nowadays, the focus group interviewing is getting more and more fame. It's a good idea. Even I have seen some of the student in his, the PhD student, they called some of the 7 to 8 university student, and they conducted the focus group interviews. It is a good trend nowadays. Even it's a good one, and the kind of insight you will get is very promising. You will have a kind of really a good interesting promising findings after carefully analyzing what they were speaking of. Even I have participated in several focus group interviewing in the past. Since now, okay, so you understood the primary data and secondary data. Because of the technology, now we have online marketing research. So you can have a kind of internet survey through the internet. Online panel members are available nowadays. You can conduct experiment, content analysis you can do. It's okay. Idea is like online marketing research is another way of gathering the fresh data or the data or information relevant to your research. But there are advantages of having an online marketing research. It's speedy, low cost, more interactive and engaging, higher response rate, able to reach, hard to reach customer. I mean to say, like, there are certain set of advantages you have if you're using the online marketing research. I mean to say, in my case, as I said, I have taken a services from Qualtrics. You might have heard about the Qualtrics or maybe the Survey Monkey. So because why? If I will go and to the market for asking the managers to fill the survey questionnaire, they may refuse. They will say, why? So it's difficult. I'm not saying like it's easy, but it's a challenging for you. Of course, it was more challenging for me because my base is basically I'm from India, so I was not familiar much about the context in Australia, and even I was not having a much personal network across the industry in Australia. So I'm supposed to go ahead with the to take the advantage or hire some agency who are having expertise in online marketing research. So the Qualtrics, I came to know they are good. They are having within 2 months they will give you the kind of responses you are looking for, but they will charge. In the case of Qualtrics, they were charging $10 Australian dollar for each responses. I have gathered around 240 completed responses, so I paid certain good amount of money from my research fund to the firm in order to conduct that survey on my behalf. So this is the like you can think about. There are advantages because not everything is in your control. So you need to, the 3 years PhD research, sometimes it looks like not enough, especially when if you're having a different stages in your research, exploring the themes. It certainly took one year, another conducting the survey, another 1 year. So because of the time constraint and lots of another resources constraint, you wanted to have wanted to expedite your research work. So it's better to hire some third party. And again, if I will go and conduct the survey, sometimes again it could lead to the kind of perception bias. But if you're taking the advantage from the third party who are having expertise, the chances are nobody will question about your findings. I mean to say, it's more reliable, it's more fair, less error, less perception error or some other sort of error will be presented. So there are advantages of having. I talked about the sampling unit. Who you want it to be studied? Sample size is how many people should you be included, and sampling procedure, like how should the people people in the sample will be chosen. It is at random, or is it through the snowball sampling, or is it a kind of informal way, or is it a kind of not random? There are different. There are stratified sampling. There are cluster sampling. There are different terminologies. Probably not enough, not good for you to understand now, but once you will make your career in the marketing research or any sort of research in the later on in your life, probably you will come across all these things in a very in-depth way. Yeah, I think it is written simple random sample, stratified random sample, cluster sampling, convenience sampling, judgment sampling, or quota sampling. So there are different ways, and as a researcher I have a complete freedom to choose depending on my resources, depending on the time constraint, depending on the kind of guidance I'm getting from my supervisor, research team, lots of factors which motivates me to select the kind of technique or any of the sampling process. But it has to be aligned with your objective. It should not be something which is improper to the kind of, so it has to be properly aligned. I mean to say the objective will lead to the what kind of sample you're looking for and what should be your sampling procedure. So everything, all this is decisions has to be properly aligned. So questionnaire is, we are familiar with the questionnaire. Survey questionnaire is the most common instrument. Administrator in person, by phone or online, even you can ask certain question survey on the phone or online. So it includes sometimes the open-end question as well. Most of the time we use the closed-end question like yes or no, or just let me know, is it satisfied, not satisfied, or kind of. So it is closed ends, but sometimes you can ask in the survey, what is your opinion regarding introducing this new feature? So it's open, and you are allowing the respondent to write something. So it's an open-end question. So the survey questionnaire could be a kind of mix of both open-end question and closed-end question. It must satisfy your goal or objective. That is important. So you will frame it basis on the basis on the objective. What is your objective, and in order to fulfill that objective, what you wanted to have, what sort of question you are asking. So it could be a combination of both closed end, open end, or maybe only the open end, or maybe the closed end. So it depends. As a researcher, it totally depends on you. Mechanical instrument, researcher use people meters or the checkout scanners, and there are mechanical instruments which continuously measure your it's a kind of machinery things, like we're using the instruments. Neuromarketing is a new technique. Again, one of my friend back in India, he was working on the neuromarketing, and he was trying to see uh, how consumer like they get involved when they discuss about certain attributes of any product. So what kind of intensity, what kind of phase, it's more technical stuff. Probably I'm not the right person. I'm not having the expertise in marketing, but they were trying to measure the kind of heartbeat, kind of stimulation in the body after suppose drinking certain sort of new drink. So trying to measure using some instrument mechanically how it improves the, it's a kind of body composition or your emotion level or your involvement across. So it captures a certain aspects of your body, how it is functioning after some sort of. So it's a kind of, again, new trend, new neuromarketing, and although it's a new trend, but it's difficult to do this sort of research, because you must have a kind of facility. I mean, to as a researcher, you must have some certain labs which has this sort of machinery kept, so that you can call your customer, give them some sort of introduction, give them some sort of drink, and then before drink and after drink, you're trying to measure how he's behaving and all. There are lots of steps up there around the neuromarketing, but it's a promising area of the field for the research in the future. You can think about that. Final stage is finding and interpreting the research findings. So I mean to say that you have the researcher who did all the analysis, but as a manager, you are only interested in knowing the important findings and the insight that are useful in the major decision faced by the management. So I think the marketing research is over. And finally, we have analyzing and using the marketing information. That is the last one. So how you use the marketing information? So most of the firm, they have dedicated CRM, customer relationship management team, CRM team, who kept all the information regarding the customer issue, maybe the customer perception, customer feedback, customer complaining, customer upgradation, customer suggestions. It's a CRM system, talks the all means keep all the information revolving around the customer. So it's managing detailed information about individual customer and carefully managing customer touch points in order to maximize the customer loyalty. Ultimate idea is to retain the customer, to let them be loyal. So the CRM software or the services, it integrates everything that a company's sales, services, marketing team know about individual customer. It's providing a kind of 360 degrees view of the customer relationship. The benefits and uses are listed in the right side. What is the benefit? As I said, more and more selling to the same customer. I mean, to say loyal customer will be more and more frequently, they will be using and purchasing your product and services. So you could see the cross-selling company product and services. So if loyal customer is purchasing continuously, you notice that is purchasing A, B, and C. Maybe whenever you're introducing the product, new product like D on the similar range or similar product line or similar concept with the improved version, probably you try to request them to use that one. I mean to say it's a kind of cross-selling. You have in your system, you have the CRM system, you know, you can segregate the customer, like who are the regular customer, who are the loyal customer, who are the first time customer. And based on that segregation, you can choose like whom you wanted to have a kind of rebate, who wanted to have a kind of reward program. So you can plan. And nowadays, all the multinationals, all the big nations, big firms, they have dedicated CRM. And I just said earlier, if you could remember, it's like Google, Microsoft, and there are PeopleSoft. They are very, they have a very profound expertise in terms of providing the services. Google and all they have. These are some of the other issues, not really the marketing, but there are some other implications like marketing research in a small businesses and non-profit organization. So the small organization, probably they won't rely more on the primary data because that is costly. We had a discussion on that, the new one, why they will go for the primary, for the research. Of course, they can go for the research based on the secondary data, where they don't have to invest. All the data are publicly available. I mean to say, you wanted to start a new business in this region, you just have a kind of Newcastle Herald, or maybe some of the data. No, sorry, Herald is the kind of newspaper, but maybe some marketing analytics firm which is in the Newcastle. You just go, or maybe you just ask, or maybe go for the how many company on the Google. You just search how many companies are like over the major firms operating in this area. Little bit secondary using the secondary data collection, you can do little bit exercise. That is applicable for the small scale. Many government agencies are providing the data, specific data. International marketing research, I mean, it's the same way, all the 4 steps you have to follow for the international marketing research, the same steps as a domestic researcher. And even it is more important for the international marketing research, because think about the different sort of challenges. It's a kind of entering to the unknown area. You are not aware of the culture, the custom, the religion, the ethnicity. Then there are custom issues, taxes, import and export taxes. There are other sort of embargoes. There are other specific rules and guidelines. Lots of things are involved. But international marketing research, you have to follow the same thing. It will be more challenging to think about. Domestic, they're familiar with your language, right? But if you're moving to the Asian countries and wanted to have a marketing research, probably you need to change your survey questionnaire to the local language. So there are other sort of challenges which are involved in the international marketing research. There are issue of ethics in the marketing research. When I was conducting research for my stage 1 and stage 2, prior to that, I have submitted around 20 pages long ethics application to the University of Newcastle. And they took around 2 months, 8 weeks, maximum year. In 8 weeks they took, and they went through each and everything, like whom I'm going to target, how I'm going to target. I gave a complete information into 20 pages. And then they have checked that on the basis of ethics. Is it like ethically okay to move ahead or not? And after 8 weeks, I got the confirmation on the ethics approval. And then I proceed for the stage 1. And then after reporting the findings of the stage 1, then I move to the stage 2. So there are like ethical issues are involved. I mean to say, if I'm interviewing some executive, I should, when I publish those work, I should not report his name. Even I should not report the company whose executive I have interviewed. So there are some privacy issues. There are some. That's why at the initial stage, before starting any conversation, we used to have a kind of consent form, and then we have a kind of PIS, participant information system. Means that gives a complete information, and after reading that one also, the respondent has a choice either to in or out. They can reject that. Sorry, I can't give you, even after calling to their own premises, because the issues are involved, ethical issues, and it's very, very, very. You need to be very, very careful. If you are a researcher and wanted to have a good research, you must follow the ethics, each and every steps which is mentioned, and it is being controlled in some of the Australian agency at the government level also. That even think about, if I'm talking about the marketing research in the business form, think about the healthcare. If you are in the healthcare industry and you wanted to have a kind of wanted to have a new vaccination, you want to check it with the people, the corona vaccine. Think about the ethical issues are involved. What will happen if something wrong happen with the patient? So there are lots of issues are involved. One should not undermine that. I mean to say that one should be, you have to be very, very careful in terms of understanding those which are part of ethics application. You need to be very, very careful. I think I have at the last, I think it's very small video on this by Steve Jobs on the marketing research. They said, like, the people are asking, what is the importance? What do you think? Marketing research is good or not? Is it really required or not? So just try to have this, to watch this video at the end, then we'll have a kind of quick discussion before closing today's session. So where it is. Let's see, can I see that? No. Okay, on this video. Okay, over here. Steve Jobs marketing. Very small video, 1.25.
How important is market research? How much did you? How important is market research? How much did you rely on it in the early days?
Well, I think in the early days it was very easy because you could go to a homebrew computer club meeting and there was your home market. And so you could find out what they thought. In fact, you show them your product, see what they thought. Because the products were much simpler then, within a few months you could change it all around and come back and show them a new one. But as the market got more sophisticated, it was less easy to do that. And the problem is that market research can tell you what your customers think of something you show them. Or it can tell you what your customers want as an incremental improvement on what you have. But very rarely can your customers predict something that they don't even quite know they want yet. As an example, no market research could have led to the development of the Macintosh or the personal computer in the first place. So there are these sort of non-incremental jumps that need to take place where it's very difficult for market research to really contribute much in the early phases of the thinking about how to, what those should be. However, once you have made that jump, possibly before the product's on the market or even after, is a great time to go check your instincts with the marketplace and verify that you're on the right track. And usually when you show people something, they'll say, oh my God, this is fantastic, or give you some feedback along those lines.
How
So go back at the end, just go back to the objectives. Just try to see that what we have captured and is there anything we have missed. So we understood the importance of information in getting the insight about the marketplace and the customer. Then we move to the discussion on defining the marketing information system. We have seen the three different phases of the MIS and its parts. Then we discuss in a great detail about the marketing research as a process, and where we have seen another 4 stages. And finally, explaining how the company they use, analyze the marketing information. With that, I'm closing here, but before that, just let me know, is there anything which is not clear to you or you wanted to add to this discussion? Now the floor is open for the discussion. Or is everything is all right? Is everything is clear?
All is clear, sir.
If you have not marked, anybody, if you have not marked your attendance, please mark it on the chat box. Otherwise, I will not able to make you present for today's session. And okay, I'm stopping here the recording, but after that I will discuss about is there any issue in there, or I will just try to see what is your progress in the group assignment. So let me stop recording first.